Great. All right. So if you're in here joining us today again, go ahead and comment in the comment section where you're coming from, where you're at. Let us know how much of a global reach we've got today. We love to see people from all over the place, both local and exotic places. And
Hey, I'm exotic.
happy Thanksgiving from Colorado. Hey, Flora, how you doing?
Hi, Flora.
Happy Thanksgiving to all my Thanksgiving friends and family um, in the States. Minnesota. All right, and California. So we got some. We might have a little bit more of a U.S. audience today because everybody's sitting at home, waiting for some
Oh,
exciting stuff to watch. Hi,
that
finally was able
yeah.
to participate on time. All right, Ivana, good to
That's
see
actually a
you,
really good.
Ivana.
That's a good thought.
Yeah. Hey, Shelly. Romania. Oh, I don't remember seeing that one before. Hey, Anka. All right. So if you're joining us today, we've got it's a really fun, cool topic, and it's large topic, and we're going to do our best to get through enough that doesn't overwhelm you, but enough that excites you and inspires you, and gets you thinking and perhaps even creating new future memories, which we'll talk all about today. And stick around because it's a really good session. At the near the ending of the session, we'll be covering over 6 steps that if you practice these steps on a regular basis, you really have a tool, a skill, a infinity matrix hack that will literally have you creating a lifetime of absolutely astonishing days ahead of you. Okay, so you're going to want to stick around for the entire thing. But we need to give you some groundwork first to kind of get your feet planted. And okay, so I'll get you to get started there, Ross. I'm just going to grab a little bit of tea.
Yep.
So I know that we've been
Ready.
pretty busy on the chats and everything, and I remember you had told me about a couple of comments that people had mentioned about.
Well, I mean, the, it would be the whole live stream if I just went through all of them. But there's some that are just really just standing out, and it's just been great. Like for example, Mary says, I'm grateful that I found like-minded people on Facebook. I was getting bored with the norm in my neighborhood. No one seems to ask the questions that truly matter. I can identify with that outside of the old rat race and in the social media structure or any typical Facebook. So she's so thankful for the Infinity Matrix. So that was really nice. And then let's see. Next, we had Gary and Ross. After a few days of writing down what brings joy to my life and what I am grateful for, I found it is many, many little and big things, but mostly in the people around me and in myself. So
Nice.
thank you, Anne. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. That's really, really
And I'm going
nice.
to just touch on that because it's a really interesting phenomenon, if you will. When you start to hack the matrix, the infinity matrix, a really cool thing starts to happen is you start to notice first, most times you'll notice it first and foremost with you and how you're experiencing, perceiving the world. And then it starts to ripple out into your family, then your friends, then your coworkers, and you start to notice it in them as well because you become the beacon for them, an example for them of living in a way that's not the norm, if you will. And just by osmosis of them being in your surrounding, the matrix starts to shift for them too. They start to ask different questions, and it's not even necessarily that you have to ask them or bring it up. It's just something triggers for them because they. What happens is you start to create a reality where you attract in to that reality experience people that are of like mind and like vibration and frequency, right? And so therefore they start to now ask.
So somebody at one time had mentioned something similar to that, and I'd pointed out that what they're doing is they're defining their choice convergence point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And from there, once you get that, you start to, it becomes a regular habit. It starts to maintain, and then just more and more and more. It just becomes a magnet. So
Nice.
that's great. So in most of our previous streams, we've referenced something about time. Of course, we would, as it's a variable of that encompasses everything we as a conscious beings will do. The way the mind has been conditioned, most of us, we kind of experience time on a linear level, and we're going to go into exactly what that is. But did you know that there's several theories about how time exists? So there's not just one answer. Actually, there's several. And so let's start with a fun piece about has anyone here had a deja vu? Just give us an emoji on the comments. Give me an idea of if you've had a deja vu. If you understand what a deja vu is, that's where you know a moment in time happens. You're like, I've been here before,
Yeah,
or
I've
I've
done
seen
this.
this
I've heard
before.
this. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I've heard this before. I mean, it can encompass any of your senses. So put down in the comments if you had those experiences. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
got some
There they
claps.
are.
We got some yeses. Yeah, yeah.
So the answer to what that is really depends on your personal definition of time. And Gary, if you could put that one image up for me, please,
Yeah, give me a second. I'm just waiting
that
for
would be
it
great.
to load up. That's the one you want, right?
There we go. All right. So, one of the multidimensional theories is that a segment of time slightly or behind our time touch. So, think of each of the ripples in this image as your time. So, the one on the left is you in this reality. The one on the right is another reality, and you're there too. And you see where they just barely touch? That's a deja vu, because they're just slightly off, and then they hit, and you're like you experience the moment, and then they touch, and then all of a sudden you experience the moment again. That's a theory, but it's one of the more easier to believe theories. So that is going to be one. So then there's the most common, which is linear time. In linear time is going to be they call it the arrow of time. So linear time is where everything just goes just in a straight line, just like this. Start. Let me see if you can see. There we go. All right. So starts
You got
here,
props. That's not fair.
goes there. I told you I was bringing props. Okay, so now, so that's linear time, and that's what's called an entropy, and where linear time is described as it just goes in one direction and it cannot be changed. So, and then as we progress through that, but it doesn't, linear time doesn't explain too many of the different exceptions or the variables. So if you want to think of linear time is like an egg. And once you crack that egg, you can't do anything with it. Okay, you crack it, you scramble it, you can't put the egg back together. So that's the idea of linear time, is that once it goes, everything behind it is basically kind of disturbed. The entropy actually doesn't destroy it, but it fractures it, and it can't be reassembled. So that's linear time, a straight one flow of time in one direction. So that, now, mind you, this is not string theory. Don't get this wrong there. So I'm just happen to be using a string for my demonstration. All right, so but we're still talking about deja vu. So now let's imagine I take this string. Okay, this is actually a cable. Okay, and the cable is going from here and it's traveling around and around and around. Okay, but it's still going in one direction. But you see where this one and this one touch? That would be considered possibly a deja vu, depending on how close they are, but it also could be considered what's called a premonition, where this is a certain point in time and this is a certain point in time, and they touch, and the individual, you, Miss myself, Gary, all of a sudden we see something that's happened in the past, or we see something that's happened in the future. So that's another one. So those are just some kind of fun facts. I love time. Time, and you all theories. We're not telling you how time is because there's so many different theories, and they can come up with as much proof as they possibly can muster, but still they still remain as a theory. So this next one is what's called 4D block universe. Now, this theory of time is really, really cool. Now, if you look at the image, you can see that on one end is the past, in the middle is the present, and then the other end is the future. And the premise here is that this is a series of snapshots of your reality, like a movie film. And what happens is you're going through those snapshots. Now, also the premise of block theory is that what's called superdeterminism. In other words, that film has been made, and you can't change it. And when Einstein first came out with this, he really got a lot of resistance, and most of that resistance was coming mostly from, I would say, I'm going to say the egos of other scientists. Be saying, I determine the future, I determine where I'm going to go, and you're not going to tell me that tomorrow has already been destined for me. I can change tomorrow, but by changing the present to change tomorrow, that was probably already in the film. That's how Einstein argued his point. But then a game changer was added into the mix, the multiverse. And yes, you've seen it on TV and all that kind of stuff, and it's actually getting a lot more attention now. Possibly not really accurate, but it's fun to watch. So the multiverse, this accentuated the theory with a possibility of multiple blocks of time, basically almost kind of like side by side or possibly overlapping. And then what you can do is you can bounce from one to the other. Now, mind you, it's one to the other, 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 because there's billions of those blocks. And this is why the choice convergent point is so important. It becomes your launching pad. So in other words, I'm in this block, and I have a sense that things are just not kind of going the direction that I want them to go, or I want to change that direction. Then the energy that I'm putting into my CCP is going to allow me to shift over to a different variation of that reality. And I know there's a ton of questions, and I just want to just let me know you're still with me. You're kind of getting it. We won't be able to answer your question. We've got a lot to go today. We won't be able to actually answer a lot of questions today, but make sure you put your questions in the comments, because as we always do, we will get to them. Okay. So why am I talking about time when this is a show about memories? Memories are what gives us that sense of the past, and with that, time. It's that linear. Right now, we're back to the linear thinking, because that's how most people are. That's where their minds have developed to. So what happens when we remember the future? It's quite possible that we are all familiar with stories of men and women whose ideas, creations were ahead of their time. The same can be said about ancient artifacts and buildings that don't fit within the description of the knowledge and technology of the time when they were created. It's like this. How could this be here? I mean, that list, that's three more shows. Some of these examples are quite famous. The Sphinx, the pharaonic toy airplane, Archimedes' work, or various depictions of UFOs in paintings. Yet there seem to be more that we have probably never heard of, because we haven't found them yet or understood, but to that point, it's just they're considered oddities of history, but they're so prevalent they can even be classified as and differentiated. So this is exactly what we're discussing today. And after listening, you may start to question your own beliefs about linear sequence of events. Or it's just one more complex phenomenon of which we still have a lot to learn about. Okay, we're just going to open your eyes and give you some different ideas. But what Gary's going to show you later on, yeah, you're going to get it. So it seems fair to say that human history can be viewed as a sort of ongoing experiment, the effects of the interaction of time, whatever it is, and the collective human consciousness. So, it's kind of like, for example, like, wow, how how did they know that there were moons of Mars 151 years ago? Or how did the Apollo program a century before it took place? The Pacific War was said to be predicted 16 years before, and ancient armies said in some of the literature that they were defeated by these giant machines. Questions, 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 and time. The part of the reason that they're having such a hard time answering these questions is because they've locked themselves into, this is how time is. We're positive, so that just simply can't happen. And we want them to kind of guess again. So such things can exist. So,
Yeah,
so
and
did someone?
so let's, so if we go back to just real quick, if I can interject here, that,
Sure, please.
if we're talking about, like, for example, the Apollo program, right? There was a time and place where that concept was not non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so something had to come into the collective consciousness to present that new possibility, and it couldn't come from the past because right, it's those things, as we see it linear, have been done and complete. It didn't happen yet, so it had to come from a different place, and that's what we want you to think about today. Well, where does that come from? How does that happen? Right, and so, and that's with ourselves too. When we have breakthroughs or great experiences, or even just great days, that experience, and whatever you did, whatever you said, whatever you heard, wherever you were, you don't have a past reference of that, so something had to bring it into your reality. That's what I want. Well, how does that happen then? To come from a place of no existence to experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So did objects and beliefs or practices from our present show up in the past? Or was it objects, beliefs, or practices from our future show up in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I mean, after all, did Michelangelo, one of my favorite artists, did he actually see an airplane from the present and then documented its design in the past? Because he did. He actually documented a helicopter too. Did no, I might mispronounce this, but the Greek Acaritha mechanism from 87 BC has now been dubbed a 2100-year-old computer. It's just things that make you go, So we've seen events described in detail before they took place, technologies in use before they were ever adopted or even discovered, and knowledge that can't be accounted for. Behavior amplified, foreknowledge objects, these existences are inexplainable and centuries old artistic images. I mean, it's crazy. It's like they've discovered things that look like they were actually made by a modern day computer design and images, like they were made in Hollywood. It's just like, what is the deal? This can't be real. And a lot of times that's what they do, is like, this can't be real. It's just not. Okay, so maybe time is just the fourth dimension through which all the other three travel, undergoing some kind of cause and effect, sorting as they do. That's what nature is. Or maybe it's an infinite box containing possible events, linked in a way that reflects someone's idea of cause and effect. We choose collectively to perceive selected events in a serial fashion, using some mechanism that maintains the linkages, calendars, clocks, books. That's all linear. It seems fair to say that human history can be viewed as a sort of ongoing experiment with the effects of interaction, time, and the collective human consciousness. So now, so you can better understand the power of determining and defining your future self. Gary's
Yeah,
going to show you something that will blow your mind.
that's it. It's that future self that we want to address today, right? Because master hackers like Michelangelo somehow tapped into the art of future memories. And in doing so, allowed his personal best self to guide him towards experiencing as much of it as he could possibly in his lifespan. Right? So let's explore. First of all, what is a future memory? Because we've been talking about it, and dropping it in posts and stuff like that. What is a future memory? Go ahead and comment in the comments. What comes up for you when you think of a future memory? Okay, let's see what you guys come up with. All right. I know some will say premonition, or some will say intuitive insight. Others, I saw someone else was saying it's a creative burst of from collective consciousness. And then there's others. Yeah, what else we got? There was a couple others I saw there. That there's others that may not be mentioning it in the post, but there are others out there that are saying, well, how can you possibly have a memory of the future? That concept is not there yet, but we're introducing it. All right, because we've been taught as the model of which Ross showed in the image of the only way the matrix runs is one way, from the past to the present to the future. That's what we've been taught, right? And in reality, time itself has no bias, okay, to any of those, right? Right? It's only because we've assigned it in those locations, in that particular way, that it has reference or meaning to us, right? Because ultimately, it all seems to be just an infinite varied points of now. That's it. Right, and all the the spiritual teachers and and even science is now starting to realize that it's all now. Okay, everything. So there is no past. There is no. It's only what we make up. Right. So what if? And this is for some of you a new concept. What if your past doesn't really exist? What if every moment, every now, you actually make up a past to justify where you are, who you are, and what you're doing? Right? What if? Think about that. Because they're not fixed things. We can't go back and grab that experience and have it show up again. Right? Exactly the same way. Right? For a variety of different reasons. So, what and when we choose to experience is determined by an infinite variety of variables. Okay, there's way too many for us to even begin to talk about it. And I believe that's why they can't really pin it down in science, because there's too many variables. Mm-hmm. Right? The variable of the individuals themselves putting their spin on what their beliefs and their thoughts and their learnings are. Two different, they could be studying the exact same element, but because they bring different things to the table, they can't not end up with different outcomes. Okay? So, you ever wonder why we can so easily access that childish or teenage self? Okay, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, intimately, right? So, but somehow we think accessing the older, wiser, more experienced self is difficult or challenging or impossible. Right? And that's the premise of creating a future memory. All right. So a future memory. Let me see if anybody else have any other goes around in circles, some insight, feelings. All
Actually,
creative possibilities set in.
Indicate it says, can we choose the future in which we want to live in? There's, there you go.
Yeah, well, even better, we can create it. That's what we want to do, right? Because if you're trying to choose a future, then it's already, your thinking one's predetermined for you. That's not the game we're playing, right? We're saying, how can we create that future that we step into, right? So a future memory. It's a memory of something that hasn't yet happened, but you absolutely know that it will. Some part of you, conscious, unconscious, or higher self, has experienced it so well in the future that your current self just expects it to happen. Okay, so who here has had future memory before? Go ahead and type hashtag future memory in the comments. Okay, and while we wait for the chat to catch up with that, hashtag future memories. While we wait, let me say that if you haven't typed, or you're not typing hashtag future memory because you don't think you have, I'm about to show you that you have. Okay, so let's see, hashtag future memories, insights, intuition, deja vus, just so we know that you're all catching up. And there's a lag time, I know. All right, so here's an example. While you guys are, there we go, they're starting to come in now. So here's an example of a naturally occurring future memory, for those of you that don't think you've ever had one. Okay. Tomorrow morning, pretty much, and hopefully everyone here can say with a high degree of certainty that you'll wake up in the morning and follow a sequence of activities that are just done automatically, right? Good. Yeah, we got a lot of future memories. All right. So if you can say with a high level of certainty, right, that you'll wake up tomorrow morning and you know you're going to do a sequence of events starting in the morning right through the day. Go ahead and tell us in the comments the things you know you'll do tomorrow. I just want to see what's I want to get an idea of what your day timer for tomorrow is. All right. All right, from zero, fully in the moment. We're great. Yeah, being in the moment is awesome. Well, it's from there that we want to create the future, right? Okay, precognition all the time. Nice. Okay, what kind of things? Oh, premonition dreams. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that another topic and why they happen there as well. That's a whole topic in and of itself. Okay, chaos around kids. Okay. Get up and drive kids to school. Some of you are going to get up and go to work, right? Okay, so there we go. There, errands. No planning, just in the moment. But even if you're not planning, you know there's going to be some common things that are going to happen throughout the day, right? There you go. Feed the dogs, write, meditate, go downstairs, studio, make music. So we can say, if you can say with a high degree of certainty that you'll do those or very similar activities, right, over the next 7 days, well, how do you know? Those things haven't happened yet. How can you say that you'll get out of bed? How can you say that you'll go to work? How can you say that you'll have breakfast? How can you say that you'll speak with family members, friends, colleagues? How can you say that you'll get a task done? How can you say that you'll start to live your passion? How can you say that you're going to be on purpose? How can you say that if it hasn't yet happened? Over the next 7 days, we'll keep with that, because the next 7 days, that's what we call short-term future memories. Okay, you've heard of short-term memory, right? Okay, well, There's short-term future memory as well, where we create these short-term things to kind of keep us going day by day, knowing what to expect. So we're not waking up in panic of, oh my God, who am I? What am I? All these, where am I? What am I going to do? You'd be in that panic state 24/7. So you need those future short-term memories to give you a sense of momentum moving forward in through this time matrix. Okay. So let's just say the future memory for let's do this. In fact, let's say a future memory for in the next 7 days, next Thursday at 9 a.m. Let's set one. Next Thursday, 9 a.m. PST. We know we'll be here. So you can go ahead and put yourself in the location you'll be when you log into the stream next Thursday at 9. Pacific Standard Time. That's a short-term future memory, right? You can expect to be there and have that, and then the matrix, the internal matrix and the external matrix, the whole infinity matrix will effortlessly guide you into that future memory. Okay. Now, what if in tomorrow's future memory? Okay, and there's a bunch of stuff you guys have written down there what you're going to be doing. What if in tomorrow's future memory you had an exceptionally inspiring, uplifting, and empowered day, but your short-term memory wasn't exercised, your short-term future memory wasn't exercised, and you already forgot? Now think about that, because you see, memory, okay, of any kind is like a muscle, right? And if you've done any memory research and study and practice in memory techniques and strategies, you'll know that it's a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it gets weak, okay? It doesn't function properly. Well, we're proposing that that's what has happened to so many of us with future memories, short and long. We haven't practiced it. We haven't utilized it. So we don't know that it happens. And when we do, we think it's, oh my gosh, it's like if we think of what we normally call a memory of something that's already occurred, you have these spontaneous, oh, I remember that out of nowhere, right? It's because you haven't practiced it. You should, the more you practice it, the more you have the ability to your brain connections allow you to have access to those memories and more of them. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to hack the infinity matrix and get those future memories back. Okay. All right. So if you're ready to start to get some of those future memories back, all right, okay, go ahead and comment in the comment section, #future memories, #future memories, #future memories. And because if you participate, and this is where I talked about at the beginning of the stream, if you participate in this on a regular basis, what I'm going to go through shortly here, you could literally have a lifetime of absolutely astonishing days ahead of you that were already there, but you didn't know because you forgot. Right? So we want to bring those future memories, short-term future memories and long-term future memories. We're just going to work with the short-term ones today. Nice. Good. All right. So we got a lot of hashtags. So we got a lot of people chiming in on that one. Okay, good. All right, good. Okay, so I'm going to give you 6 simple steps. All right. They're simple, and if you do them on a regular basis, and we've been giving you quite a few really great gems as far as hacking the matrix over this is our 9th stream. So I mean, we're only like. Because so then 7, 8, 9 weeks, 8 weeks in, because we're first one would be considered that first one. So if you've been doing any of them, you should be starting to notice some shifts in what's going on in your matrix. This one is really powerful. Okay, because here's the thing: we do it anyways, but what happens is we do it at a level that we don't consciously become aware of or have direction with. We want to, again, create those future memories and step into them and live them and experience them. Nice. They're just blasting me now. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like planning your day, but it's not quite, right? Because planning your day, again, is based on, is the idea that you're just going to write down some things, you're going to follow a sequence of steps like a checklist or whatever, right? This is not that. This is, so, I mean, you don't have to do a checklist to brush your teeth tomorrow morning, right? It just happens automatically, right? You don't have to plan that. That's a future memory. Planning your day is not a future memory. Planning your day is a start of creating a future memory, but it's not creating a future memory. Okay, so they're different, but it's along the same path. All right, we want to do it where those things that you consciously create just start to happen on a regular basis. They start to show up. All right, so and I'll give you the steps and I'll give you some examples as we go through. Okay, so step one. And we will post these as well on the group page, which I should mention now. If you haven't seen any of our previous talks to catch up on them, please jump in and join the group. It's running down on the bottom there, so you can kind of go ahead and see the Facebook link there. And I just posted it in the comments section, so you can see that there as well. And we do have
Gary, let's also remind them that there is a series of questions that you do need to answer when you're going to join the group. It just gives us some insights. If the questions aren't answered, the system will just kick it out.
Yeah,
so
we want to make people in there to really play and experiment. We want to make that group, and I say it over and over, we want to make that group a group of people, individuals worldwide, where we're all collectively experimenting on different ways to hack the matrix, the infinity matrix, right? And it's a great place to communicate with other of like mind. It's a great place to get support, guidance, direction, insight, and invoke different conversations. So it's an awesome group. We're growing pretty fast and pretty and it's super active. So jump in, be active. Don't be an observer. Come in and participate. Okay, and also in those questions, you also get the opportunity of jumping on our VIP list, which we're going to start to send out stuff specifically for people on the VIP list and content specifically for the group. So it won't be, because we're streaming this to a variety of places right now, but we're going to have content that's specifically just for the group and the real players of the game, if you will. Okay, and so please remember to do that. And when you do get in, if you want to see any of the past posts that we've done, past streams, just look at the tabs on the top and click under units, and we've got them all there, so you can kind of go in instead of having to scroll through a ton of posts to find them. All right, so we made it easy for you. All right, so we will post these steps in the group as well as wherever else we can, whatever medium we have that allows us to post these steps for you. All right, so step one. Okay. Hold on, I've been in meetings, so I've not attended. Hey, Julian, good to see you in. Okay. Okay, so first, step one, think about the first thing you're going to do tomorrow after you wake up. Just go ahead, think about it. Stop for a moment. What's the first thing you're going to do after you wake up tomorrow morning? Okay, so some examples. Showering, getting dressed, brushing your teeth, talking with your partner. God forbid it's hitting the snooze button or on the alarm clock, which is a whole different hack. We'll talk about another another stream. Right. So what's the first thing that you're going to do in the morning? Think about that. Okay. When you wake up. Okay. Step two, think about or imagine the string of events that you can rely on doing from that point all the way through the end of your day, right? So that would mean, and even for those of you that are living in the moment, right? That would be things like eating breakfast, doing your regular exercise, going for a walk, walking the dog, go to work, socializing from a distance at work, right? Because that's the matrix we're all playing in for some reason right now, right? Eat lunch, the end of the day, end of the work day. Then you go back home, you see a partner, communicate, play with kids, eat dinner, wind down before bed, and then get under the covers. So whatever that sequence is for you, there's a start, there's a bunch of things that happen, and there's an end to the day. Okay, I want you to think about what that is for you for tomorrow, right? The things you can rely on. There's things that you don't yet know because the infinite variables of things that could happen, but there are things that will happen. You can be pretty certain of them, right? Okay, so I want you to. So that's step 2. Step 1, what's the first? Step 2, think about the chain of events to the end. All right. So until you get under the covers, so you're retiring for the day, right? Now, let's jog that future memory. Okay, the one talked about before. Remember where you were having that awesome day that you forgot about tomorrow? Okay, all right. Let's jog that future memory, okay? By thinking about the best future version of yourself that you can imagine. Okay? The best future version of yourself that you can imagine right now. I want you to think about that and tell us in the comments, what would that look, sound, and feel like? Okay. Would it be someone with more energy? Would it be someone who, is empowered? Would it be someone who's, experiencing more and more health and vitality? Would it be someone who's more witty, playful, confident? Someone who's creative or spontaneous, someone who's meticulous, someone who's action-orientated, or someone who's relaxed and chill, going with the flow, stress-free, or a combination of all of the above. What is that? I want you to go ahead and tell us in the comments what centered and at peace. Nice. Okay, nice. Good. What is that ideal future best self, right? When you get that, good, clear-minded, good, good. I like to see those. Good, blissful, grounded, energetic, happy, good, yeah, centered, focused.
Free.
They're coming too fast for me now. Okay, relax. All right, okay, good. So, step 1, we think about the first thing that's going to happen tomorrow morning. Step 2, we think about the chain of events till the end of the day, till under the covers. Step 3, we remember a future version of yourself, your best future version. Okay? Now, do your best. Step 4, I want you, now that you have that concept and what those are in mind, and they're still coming, which is awesome. Keep them coming. I want you to do your best. Step 4 is to see, feel, and hear what that future version would be like. Okay, that future version of yourself. What would that be like? So I want you to start to embody that, right? And think about and imagine that you was standing there just as you got under the covers tomorrow night, and that future version of you started to remind you of what you needed to do during the day to live this way as your best version of yourself. Okay, and I get it. There's a little bit of if you're not feeling a little bit confused about this, you're not doing this right, because we're playing with time in a way that we haven't done it before. And the more you do it, the more you get it, and the easier it gets. Okay, so let me repeat that again. All right, so you're going to imagine that best future self. You're going to try to embody it as much as possible right now, okay? And then you're going to imagine that future version there tomorrow night before you go to bed. And that future self is going to then remind you, okay, of what you need to do during the day, what you needed to do during the day to live this way as your best version of yourself. Okay, so it's going to say, hey, you should have done that. You should have, if you did this, it would have given you, have it give you that guidance, that direction, right? That insight, okay, of how that day you could have lived as your best future self. Okay, I'm just reading some of the comments. They're all coming. So, okay. Good. Yeah, nice. Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that. It says good. So, wow, I already can understand why I am not my future self. Nice. Good.
Okay,
And
that's
the
good.
idea, the fact that you know what that future self is, at least you have that concept. So now we use that, and we're going to take that future self to guide us into the future. Okay. So you put that future self tomorrow night before you go to bed, reminding you of all the things you needed to do during the day. And now, as that future self tells you, I want you to notice that as that future self tells you those things, the more the future self reminds you, the more you feel at one with it. You start to feel more and more at one with it. And when you feel at one with the future version of your best self, that's when you go to step number 5. Excuse me. Okay. Step number 5, reset the day and start going through those future memories of tomorrow. But now you're going to have this best version of yourself present. And notice how everything you did before is different in some way now. Right? So first, start from that first thing in the morning, right? Having that future self there, that best version. Then have that best version go with you through, as you embodying it through the string of events. But this time, you're now doing it with fresh eyes. This time, you're now doing with tuned in ears. This time, you're doing with a fully embodied soul, remembering the future memory of having an exceptionally awesome day. Remembering a future memory of healing your body. Remembering a future memory of making an impact. Right? And you take that you all the way to getting under the blankets, where you can reflect on the amazing set of future memories that you had that day. Now, the cool part of all this is that when you do that, you are now, you now built a momentum of positive future memories. You now build a momentum of creating the you that you want to be in the future. You've now created a vortex, if you will, that draws you unconsciously, automatically, and spiritually where you want to be. And guess what? It's you that chose it. I'm just giving you options in different ways. It's you that's choosing it. It's not something that's pre-made that you've got to fall into and go, well, okay, I'll just deal with it. No, this is your choice. We want you to be living a life of choice. Infinite choices. And from there, from that choice convergence point, then you can decide the matrix that you want to live in and join us in the playground that we're playing in. Okay? Then step 6. Let me review again. Step 1. Okay? Step 1, we think about the first thing tomorrow morning. Step 2, we think about the string of events all the way through the end of the day. Step 3, we jog the future memory by getting our best future version of ourselves to remind us, oh yeah, these are the things for that future memory that I forgot to do. And so now, then you're going to do step 4 and rewind the day, right? After you've embodied it, you're going to rewind the day and start doing that day again with that future you in place. Right? Now, step 6, you breathe in once for your body and then exhale. And just let it settle into your body. Now breathe in again. Once for your mind and then exhale and let it settle there. And once again, breathe in once more for your spirit now. And exhale and let it settle into your mind, body, and your spirit. And this is your hack for the next 7 days. one day at a time. And I've stretched this out, and I've reviewed the steps. I've given all kinds of. This really is like a 2-minute exercise, if that. Okay, for the next 7 days, I challenge you to experiment. Okay, by putting into your future memory something that you want to have show up as a reality for you. Okay, and it may not show up fully. It may just be that in the 7 days, because there may be some belief systems, and there's other variables that can determine the rate at which that happens. But I want you to place every day. I want you to do your future memory process that we just went through, all 6 steps, one day at a time for the next 7 days. Now remember, next Thursday, 9 a.m. You know which one you got to make sure you put in there, right? Okay. All right.
So Gary, I want to look at a couple of the questions that are here. One is kind of stands out and is kind of sitting with me. Jolene says, too much doubt stops me from moving forward.
Okay, so that's based on your past self, not your future best self.
Exactly.
Right? Your future best self does not have those doubts. It's because, and those doubts come from it's from the lack of exercising future memories. So Jolene, maybe start with something. You may have to do what we call gradient. So there may be too big of a jump from where you are now to where you'd want to be. So start with something closer to your ideal self, right? Someone who could think that it is possible. Maybe start there until you go, oh yeah, it's possible. Of course it's possible. Now, okay, well, what is possible? And you kind of take those steps, and that could kind of give you the momentum you need to grow and build that strength in belief in self. Okay, belief in self is a whole other ball game, and there's other things we can do to help work with that. But if we're talking about just future memories right now, just get the idea that you want your best future self guiding you with memories of how to live the day. And then when you wake up in the morning, just live your day. Right?
And maybe that future self is a bit more confident.
Yeah.
I'm a bit more
one day at a time,
doubt-free.
right?
So what I'm seeing in a lot of the comments, and we've noticed this, it's a regular pattern, and it's not good or bad. It just is that imagine that the processes that we're showing you, are A to Z, and right now we're showing you A, B, and C, but a lot of you are thinking, well, I need to go from from A to Z overnight. And this is a process. This is simply a process of opening up and showing you different ways to expand.
Yeah.
So that ultimately, this is Gary is very true. He's like, he didn't say what's your future self for next year. He's just saying, what's your future self for tomorrow. So take this slow exercise. It's like going to the gym. You can't go from lifting 10 pounds to lifting 100 pounds. Yeah. You have to build up that muscle. I mean, it is. It's
a good example, Ross, is that I heard many years ago. I don't know how accurate this is, but it's a good metaphor regardless. So I heard one time that if you think about the monumental task of leaving Earth and ending up on the moon. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, I know where you're going with this. Yes.
It's a monumentous task, right? And forget the preparation part of it. Just that once you take off, it's still a monumentous task, right? And they said that if you were to draw a direct line, which is supposed to be the fastest way from point A to point B, if you draw a direct line from Earth to the moon, and you were to measure how the percentage of time the astronauts were actually on path to its target, that entire time from here to the Earth to the moon, 3% of the time. Right? Only 3%. They didn't have to be 98%. 3% of the time, and they still made it. At least that's the theory. That's a whole other thing.
Oh
I'm not
God.
going to open that kind of
I
worms.
forgot to warn you guys about this part of Gary.
so 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 yeah, so it's it's all you need to do is do a 3% change. Everybody can do a 3% change. Come on, and you just got to be consistent though, because on the path, all they do is they redirected it, they readjusted, they readjusted. They had to circle the Earth a ton of times, and those the amount of times they were circling the Earth before they could leave the atmosphere, and then start to be even close to the path that they were going. There's so many things there that they had to adjust during the journey. Same with you. There's no difference, and so no matter how big the goal, no matter how big the objective, no matter how far you feel away from that ideal self, it's attainable. 3% of the time to be on target. That's it. 3% a shift. That's it.
And I can pretty much guarantee you that they didn't go, "Oh, this is too hard. Let's do that."
Yeah. Think, oh man, we're off course. Let's go back.
But this is a really good example, because what was their future self telling them? What was their future memory?
Yeah.
Oh man, that moon is going to be so cool. Walking on that moon,
yeah,
I'm going to be the bomb. It's that's how it works. This is kind of a form of goal setting, but like on steroids. It's way past it, because it's more than just one attainment. Because the attainment is a better you, and that's what this is all about. This isn't to get a better house or more money or a better car or whatever. All those will possibly be the side effects of it. But this is to be a better you, and to ingrain this into yourself, into your heart, into your mind, into your soul, that you will constantly be growing. So take the time to do this. Don't just write the notes and then set them aside. It's like, okay, yeah, right. Because we're going to follow up with you. We want to hear back next week on the next show, or prior to that. Yeah. What's going on
day by day? Come in and chime in. Absolutely. Let us know what future memories did you create that you remembered, right? Mm-hmm. Of being in your empowered self, and how that happened, and the momentum. Let us know. So I just wanted to interject here, because Priya had said, "Hi, please help me. I've lost hope after an expert astrologer has told me things I don't want at all. Will make me miserable, has correctly estimated my past." Okay, so estimating your past and estimating your future are two different things. Okay? Exactly. All right, okay. So let me put out there, Priya, that if the only way that predicted future can show up for you is if you buy into it being that future for yourself. That's the only way. You can reject them and say, no, I'm going to choose my own future and do this process. So this is a perfect timing or stream for you to be a part of. Take this and start to put what you prefer out there, so that you can kind of go back to that person before and say, you were wrong, because I choose my future. I create my future. But you don't have to buy into someone else's prediction or their reading of a momentum that you might have been going in. Because that's all they can read. All they can read is the momentum, the potential, or the probability of you going into a certain timeline or reality, right? But you can at any moment shift, alter, change, or adjust that. Okay? So don't let someone else's perception. And also remember, and we talk about this in a variety of different ways, that if you were to go to another very expert astrologer, they come with different belief systems, different mindset, different background of how they interpret things, right? There's no set rule for all astrologers interpreting things one way. No, they come from their own experience, their own self. So that one person out of the 8 billion people on the planet, you're going to take their word for reality? No, choose your word for reality.
Okay. For all you know, I could be an astrologer right now.
Hey,
And I can just simply tell you that you're going to have the most amazing
Oh, well,
future
I
you
already did. I already
ever
did. And
imagined.
I even explained it better than they did. I'm sure how it's going to be different tomorrow. So
That's right. The whole premise of the affinity matrix is that you choose. You have two choices. Make a choice. You choose. Right now, you've chosen to follow the path that a relative stranger told you. You can choose to accept it or not to accept it. You can choose to build upon it, but you're choosing right now. And what we're saying is we are giving you permission to choose differently. And you choose now. Don't think about this, because you've already shown us that it's not working for you.
Yeah.
So if it's not working for you, then you better make another choice.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for.
And one of the things that shifted this for me, and this is like almost 30 years ago, right? Maybe even more than 30 years ago. And I know some of you are saying, but you look 30, Gear. Yeah, I know. It's okay, so almost 30 years. Okay.
I'm sorry, we didn't have enough time for me to prep his ego before the show, so now he's got to do it himself.
Future memory I got going on. So,
his future self is that he's 10 years younger.
So about 30 or so years ago, I one of the biggest lessons I got from one of my mentors, who I still look up to a lot today, is Anthony Robbins. And one of the things he really pushed back then when he started to come out with his stuff was the past doesn't equal the future, unless you choose it to. Right? So the past does not equal the future unless you choose it to. That means there's a point, there's a pause in there. That's the choice convergence point.
Exactly.
All right. So we gave you a lot today. Went a little over time, but I think it was a great topic. We had some great comments. Thank you guys. We love you guys for sharing as much as you do. Jump in the group. I'm going to do the post again, the link. Jump in the group. Join us there for more conversations, more posts. Answer those questions so we can kind of get a better idea of who you are and what you would like to see on the channel, and on the group. And also, you'll have the instructions on how to get on the VIP list as well there.
Yeah, and also I want to add again that if you've already joined the group or requested to join the group and you haven't been approved yet, then you probably didn't answer the questions and the system just popped you out. So just jump back in there. There's 3 questions. That's it. So it's not really that hard. It's not like you have to create a synopsis or anything like that. It just gives us an idea where you're at. Also that you're serious about, wanting to expand and grow. So do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And like I said,
don't come as a
we are reading every single answer that you people put in, and then again, it depends. That is what gives us a direction of where we're going, and we've got some great thing. I mean, all of December, we're going to be talking about the future of 2021, and you folks out there are the ones that are going to direct where we're going. So it's so important that you communicate with us. We're not mind readers. We don't want you to be just somebody just sitting there going, okay, just give me the information. Okay, I got it, and I'm going. As you see, we're very, very interactive, and we're that way because most people are not.
Yeah.
So do it. Let's go.
And what makes what is a VIP member? A VIP member really is just VIP member is someone who's decided that they're not just here to play around. They really want to experiment and learn all the ins and outs of hacking the Infinity Matrix. And so for those people that are showing a little more dedicated seriousness, we are going to be sending them special updates on different things, resources, special streams just for them, and different topics where we go deeper into some of these things, and also stuff that we feel is that may not necessarily be right for the group if someone's just here just to kind of check out and kind of get the foundational stuff. And so we have a whole ton of stuff. We'll have special interviews for them from experts around the world. We're really working on a really cool lineup in 2021 to really just blow this thing out. So and remember to share this with anyone that you think may get value out of learning how to create their future memories, and maybe just making a shift for them so that we can grow this community larger and larger.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people who have shared or sent in requests for their entire database, their whole list of people. I mean, because the system tells us it's like, John Doe, referred by John Doe, referred by John Doe. I mean, just over and over going. It's just like it's great because we're touching something, and it's awesome. It really is, and people are responding, and that's what we want. We just want to just get this out. We want to get everyone out of this crud that's being created, and most of what you're experiencing these days is being created.
Yeah. So a couple last things. Allison says, "What are your names?" Yeah, we kind of take it for granted that you guys are just our friends and our family and stuff. So we just jump on. We should probably lead with that on these calls, but I don't think we've done it in any of them except the first one. It's quite funny. I know it's. So they're probably, I think about it now, Russ. They're probably thinking, "Who's this person responding to me?"
Yeah, exactly. Oops.
I never thought about that. We just assume that you're just part of our family. So,
like, who are you?
Yeah.
Now you're asking after an hour,
or after 9 sessions.
Yeah, really. That's funny.
Anyways, thanks for having fun with us. We'll see you next Thursday. Enjoy. Have a wonderful future memory for the next 7 days.
We didn't tell them who we are.
Yeah. I did. I mentioned it real quick. Gary Johnson. And
I'm Ross Arnson. So unless you don't like me, then I'm Joe Smith.
Yeah, that's
but
poor Joe.
Oh. All right, we got to sign off. He's on a roll. Thank you, everyone. We greatly appreciate it. If you're in the States and you're enjoying a holiday,
happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy. And we will see everybody next week.
Yeah.